insight advisory within the smart analytics practice in insights and data. Just check, okay. So I'm here to talk to you today about the innovation journey that we've been on over the past year with World Rugby, to talk a little bit about the innovations that we've done and some of the plans for the coming series. So brief introduction to me. So I started my kind of early career in the military, driving intelligence-driven operations. And have been working across kind of UK public sector, across a number of different government clients. But passionate about rugby and about sport, and this has been a great opportunity for me to kind of bring those to bear and bring some of our lessons from other sectors, market units, how we work with our clients into our partnership with World Rugby. So a little bit just in terms of what we do within smart analytics. Move on to the next slide. Have I got the wrong clicker?
Give it a good press.
Perfect. Okay, just a bit further. Okay, so there are 3 services we deliver. AI advisory services, so helping our clients to think big, start small, and scale fast around the application of AI. Discovery services, where we run sort of 8 to 12-week discovery, so unlocking the power of data, you're using some of those emerging technologies, and then AI engineering services, where we'll take that proof of concept and then put that into an industrialized AI solution. This we don't do in isolation. We work with other different parts of the group. So in this instance, working very closely with IDEAN and with the Applied Innovation Exchange. So Capgemini has a long history of rugby. We've supported rugby for over 25 years. We've sponsors of the Rugby World Cup, I think, back in 2007, and we've been a big supporter of French rugby. This year, we've started out as a global innovation partner in support of the HSBC World Rugby Sevens Series, and also the the Rugby World Cup Sevens. It was always, so Serge Kampf was our founder, always saw that the parallel that we have in terms of our core values and the game of rugby. I have a short video about where our sort of work began with World Rugby. And if you're not familiar with Rugby Sevens, it'll hopefully kind of give you a feel, both in terms of the fans, the passion of the game, and the start of the story within the Rugby Sevens.
Really, our main goal is to surface insights and turn them into opportunities.
Fast, it's sexy, and it doesn't stop. You can have 10 penalties in 14 minutes and you'd never know.
For anyone wanting to get into rugby, Sevens is the easy stepping stone.
It's a bad experience. I can't stop talking about it.
I wish there was more tickets available.
This is what it's about. People want to enjoy themselves, enjoy good rugby.
The spirit that comes out, it's amazing.
14 minutes of non-stop rugby is one of the most amazing things anybody in the world could ever ask for.
You're consuming information pretty quickly. There's a lot of action in that 14 minutes. You get no dead time at all. It's just action, action, action.
So if you're coming in halfway or switching on TV at night time and watching, one of the tournaments outside the world, you want to know where you're at in the tournament. That can be done digitally.
The closest thing to Sevens is a music festival in terms of the audience here. I think we need to not lose that.
And bearing in mind there are different groups of fans who might want different sets of content. This is what I want. I want vignettes of videos of this player. That's who I'm interested in. Of that event, create your own page, and that's your own personal page.
If that data's available, why not share it? Absolutely, you can get so much more on the big screen. I
have something that is consistent and stylish and informative.
What's really compelling about the work that we're doing here in Cape Town is that we're completely immersed in the environment and are able to look at all the different vantage points that everybody associated with Rugby Sevens has. We can actually talk directly to the fans as they are watching the game, and then we can take that and actually use the design methodologies to create real, far more compelling innovations that'll really support what the fans are looking for and how the game can grow in the future.
So as you can see there, high octane, high fun, a natural fit for us in terms of our partnership, our passion for innovation and those shared values. And I think you can see from some of those fans the fun that's had around the World Rugby Sevens. But we've approached it like we would do with any other client organisation, and this is the Applied Innovation Exchange methodology. And it brings that structure in terms of process to ensure that as you innovate, you're focused on those things that are going to drive most value. So in terms of discover, understanding what the fan needs are, understanding what's the art of the possible, through to devise. So Priscilla mentioned it in terms of looking at those emerging technologies, identifying how that fits the business need, and then quickly proving the value of it, to then move on to deploy in terms of deploying that to drive the business value through to sustain. And it's exactly that approach that we've taken with World Rugby. So first a look to kind of what's happening in the world of sport today. So we're experiencing unprecedented impact of technology in sport, and at a pace that we've not seen before. So what we define as sport, where we play it, watch or deliver it, when we do and how we engage with it has changed and will continue to evolve. Like all businesses, anything around innovation has to be balanced against the business, the business return on investment, the value and the associated risks. And for sport, there's a fantastic legacy and history that comes with sport, and it's then how do you then bring that innovation that supports and cultivates on a lot of those values. So with this in mind, just have a quick look at these kind of five themes. And the first one is around the competition for fans in the way in which they consume content and their channel of choice. So most fans are consuming content on their mobile phones as their primary source, but more often the second screen as well. And that's a real battleground for content providers. So one trend, so ESPN and CBS launched over the streaming services for sports programs, which is creating a challenge for traditional broadcasters. Just as an indication, so Facebook bid 600 million to stream the IPL, the Indian Premier League Pro Cricket Tour. They unfortunately lost, but it shows their indication of their intent around this. Similarly, Amazon entered the sports winning the rights to stream 11 of the Thursday night football games. So the second one is data and AI, close to my heart in terms of insights and data. And we've seen a significant growth around predictive analytics to improve both team performance and both at an individual level, but also to help run the commercials. So the commercial side of the business, whether that's around dynamic ticketing or whether that's around smart stadium, which I'll come on to talk about in a little bit more in a second. But I think these are all proving the value of data and analytics in sport. And I think whereas previously data and analytics was a nice to have, it's now an absolute must for a lot of both the teams and the wider organising bodies. Data is also a key component of fan engagement, and that's something that we've majored on in terms of the way in which we've approached the Rugby Sevens. Use of interactive statistics that engage people on social, and also subject to the privacy laws around data, also see the use of stats enhanced by the biometric or athlete wearable data during games. And it's actually some of that use of game day and player tracking data and AI, which is also helping fans make more informed decisions on their fantasy football leagues, I don't know how many here play any of those fantasy football. So then to talk about another topic that that's come out is around VR and AR. Clearly, this has been an area of focus for a lot of teams and athletes, but increasingly we're seeing it around fan engagement. And it has opportunities both to enhance that content consumption, but to reach new fans and potentially reach new revenue streams. So, smart stadium. So they need to become more technically advanced, robust, to enhance both the fan experience but also security. So mobile apps, social, interactive AI, payment solutions, contactless payment solutions, all place infrastructure dependencies onto the stadium, which the stadium requires to meet. But also teams and videos are linking up with the likes of Uber and Airbnb to operate more of a total concierge service. And that links into other entertainment that may be happening around the stadium to linking into more of the smart cities. If you want an example, the Sacramento Kings is a good one to have a look at. They've been referred to as the Tesla of stadiums. So they put a huge amount of investment. It includes robots that patrol the outer perimeter using anomaly detection to identify any potential parcels or suspicious activity, which they then can trigger a particular activity, and something that's obviously replicable across industry where you're looking at infrastructure security. So finally, cryptocurrency and blockchain. So still in its relative infancy, but has the potential to address solutions that are particularly relevant for sporting industries. Blockchain has the ability to both mitigate risk, but also create new sources of value, and also the secure transformations of information and transactions. Quite an obvious one is around improving ticketing to get a more real-time view about demand and supply of tickets. But also that peer-to-peer transfer of tickets without necessarily a third party. And the last one is around, and linked to that, is engagement and rewarding fans. So rewarding fans with digital currencies enables opportunities to engage fans in different ways and to reward either social media use or reward engagement. So having had a look at what's happening in sport, what you'll have, we'll get there eventually, right, to what are the fans asking for? So what are the user needs of the fans? And that's exactly where we started out in Cape Town, was looking at what are their user needs, what are their pain points, prioritizing what was going to deliver most effect from them. So from those user needs, we managed to generate, as if by magic. So I'll keep talking and hopefully the slides will get sorted. So we've got 50 high-level concepts that we generated from that work in Cape Town. We worked with World Rugby, with fans, to then narrow that down to 6 key innovations that we would take forward. And it was aligning around those things that would deliver, for World Rugby, the key objective is to engage new fans with a particular view towards the Rugby World Cup in North America. So we built out 6 proof of concepts following exactly that process from Applied Innovation Exchange. The first one was the match predictor. So what we wanted to do was create a low barrier to entry for new fans. One of the challenges when you've got 8 hours of back-to-back action-packed rugby is how do you then wayfind through that in terms of knowing who's playing. So we gamified it by enabling a fan to play against other friends or colleagues, and both the outcome and the outcome and also the score difference. Got great user feedback on that. Then we've got the digital stats hub. So we work very closely with Rob Vickerman, who is both a former England captain and commentator, to work out what are the insights that mattered. And then we surface that back to the commentators and the media, the key stats around the match performance. Live match tracker, so generating those real-time insights, incorporated with that, we mined all of the historic data to generate using machine learning to make predictions on who would win, and actually surface that both in terms of the live match tracker and as a Capgemini bot within the match predictor. So the last three, so the expert view, so again, so this is a picture of Rob here in a rather empty looking stadium, but bringing insights into the game. So it was really, from that user research, from that understanding of what are the things that matter to them, to then generate those snippets of, what are the key things that fans wanted to engage with. It was Rob who got a little bit of trouble when he was explaining the South African tactics around the restart, and so it was after the game against the Australians that he got pulled to one side by the coach, having just shared some of those tactics, for then I think lost a couple of tries against the Australians who'd worked out the tactics. But inevitably part of the challenge about what is appropriate to share and how do you work effectively with the teams and the players in sport around data and data sharing. So the last two, VR and AR. So VR was around an immersive experience that that enables the fans to get a highlights package. It's something that's been deployed into NBA and some of the other sports, and an immersive experience that enables you to see the highlights package as if you're on the pitch side. Clearly, opportunities with that going forward is then how do you engage when you've got tournaments that sit globally through the course of the year, using that same technology to engage people across different geographies and different time zones. And the last one is the AR cannon. So at the Rugby World Cup, we deployed an AR cannon. You're probably going, what's an AR cannon? It's on your mobile phone. You put the phone up to the big screen, and then you've got to target the rugby balls that are coming flying out through an augmented reality. So a bit of fun, but a new way of engaging fans. And again, we had really good take-up, and it just shows, particularly as you understand that user research, what are those things that are going to make the most difference. So a common theme, as I mentioned as we went through that, is the integration of data and AI. Identifying the measures that matter, doing the data discovery into the existing data assets. So there's a lot of latent data that we identified with World Rugby. So a lot of stuff that would get surfaced at the half-time or end of score, but actually nothing was being done with it. And actually from a commentators and media perspective, that's what they really, really want. And also from a fan perspective, actually when you're watching Uganda against Zimbabwe or Japan against North America, you don't know. You don't know everything about all of those teams. You may have your favourite one, but actually by having some of that insights, it makes actually watching the game that much more of an experience. So that was a key thing that we did in those short feedback loops to get that feedback. So insight generation as a team and match performance. We talked about how we've surfaced that both through the dashboards to commentators and the media. We took it one step further with using that data to identify predictions around the match outcome that we were then able to surface and create a bit of fun in terms of competing against the Capgemini bot. So we've been on this road through our first year into partnership with World Rugby, very much a joint venture with the Applied Innovation Exchange, following our approach. Started out, as you've seen in the video, around Cape Town, around how we worked with fans to actually identify and prioritise those key proof of concepts. And then through the course of the season, so 10 events that happened globally as part of the series, we've then managed to deploy and test and iterate the proof of concepts to then get that feedback to inform then how that's then being put into production. So with the mobile predictor app, we're working with the supplier to then put that into production. And we're now, with some of our other proof of concepts, again, working with the broader ecosystem of World Rugby to put some of those other initiatives into production and make them more widely available. So continues into 2018-19, looking at industrialization of those proof of concepts, so moving further to the right in our process. Continue evaluating the fan experience and reviewing those friction points from a fan perspective. Also looking at the priorities from World Rugby. So a lot of last year was focused around the the Rugby World Cup in San Francisco. That will inevitably shift as World Rugby as a whole starts to look towards Japan. And it's understanding how that then reflects on the innovations, either that we've developed and how we take those forward, but also the other ideas and innovations that we identify with. So we'll continue to produce those proof of concepts, and the other part is continuing to review the existing data assets. So we've only looked at really 20% of the potential data that's available. When you start looking at video content, you start looking at the live stream broadcast, what else can you do exploiting emerging technologies in AI? I don't know whether in some of if there's an IBM presentation, but they did using audio analytics at Wimbledon to then create an automatically generated sort of highlights reel based on the crowd, the level of the crowd noise at that particular event. So it's just continuing to review and iterate on that.